This week on Muscle Cars and Hot Rods, we're going to get some new wheels on the 72 Dart, so stick around and check it out. Hey gang, we're going to do some wheels on my 1972 Dart. It's gotten to the point where the 14 by 4.5 or 5.5 inch wheels aren't going to cut it on the back of my car anymore, and stretching a 205/70 14 on it just isn't giving me enough traction. So about 4 or 5 weeks ago I collected up two 5-on-4 inch bolt circle wheels, which are rare for my car. I collected two of those up and sent them off to our friends at Stockton Wheels. Let me show you what came in the mail today. Okay, 2 boxes arrived UPS at the shop today from Stockton Wheels, and here's what the wheel looks like. I just went ahead and got a 15 by 8 with a 4.5 inch back spacing on it. And when I opened the box, I noticed it says that there's a little note in here, and it says if you mount a tire on it, you bought the wheel. So basically, make sure that this is going to fit. And of course, that's what we're going to do. Because let's see, this whole thing so far has cost about $355 to have these wheels made. So I jacked up the car, took the wheels off, and let's see what kind of lighting we got. Okay. Before I had the order put in, I took the wheel off, measured on the brake, faceplate, back to this leaf spring, and back to the inner lip on the wheel housing. And that's how I was able to determine that I wanted a 4.5 inch back space. In addition to that, I did a lot of research on BigBlockDart.com and in several magazines. And so now, sitting with the wheel on, you can see we've got a good inch of play here, and then there's even more up on top. And then it's pretty tight here, but the same pretty much holds true for the lip to the quarter panel here. So that's good enough. My co-worker Alvaro, or my good buddy Alvaro, has a set of ET Streets which measure 27 by 10.5 by 15. We're going to mount those on these wheels tomorrow and set them up in the car and see if we're going to have enough room. Okay, we mounted up a tire onto the wheel. This is a 27 by 10.5 by 15 MT Mickey Thompson ET Streets, and there's just no way I'm going to be able to do it. You can just see that it was just sticking, the bulge of the tire is just way too wide to the quarter panel. When I let the suspension off, it was actually sitting right there on the tire. And then in the back, we're just about touching the leaf spring here, if you can see that. So looks like there's still going to be plenty of room on the inside wheel well up there. But yeah, and then here's this view. And keep in mind, this is with no load on the suspension. So looks like we're going to have to find a smaller tire. Okay, and now here's something important too. Carlos was mounting up my tire today, and he just happened to mention go ahead and check it on both sides. And turns out that is a pretty important thing, because on the right side of the car, that 27 by 10.5 just seemed like I was wedging it in there. And then on this side, if it were this way on both sides, I could just trim the quarter panel lip and keep this bigger tire. Check this out. Honestly, that right there would be a pretty nice look for me. I'd be happy with that. And like I say, I'd just trim the quarter panel lip and get me a 1/4 inch in there, and that would be pretty good. But on the right side of the car, you pretty much have to wedge the tire in there. And in fact, the car doesn't sit on the suspension, the quarter panel sits on the tire. So it looks like we're going to end up going with a smaller tire, like I'd mentioned earlier. There's the wheels and paint. Okay, and now here we are with, let's see, some 26 by 10 by 60 Mickey Thompson Sportsman Street Radials sitting on the painted wheel. And we are on the tight side of the car. We're dealing with about a 1/4 inch gap between the tire and the tire and the quarter panel. We're dealing with about a 1/2 inch between the leaf spring and the tire on the back. Now that we're sitting here all together, if I'd have it all to do all over again, I probably would have gone with the 4 5/8 inch back spacing as opposed to the 4 1/2 inch back spacing that we got. But we're going to go ahead and deal with this. Might do a little trim on the quarter panel lip here, and that'll give us a full 1/2 inch clearance, and that's it. That's what we're going to go with. I'd like to take this time to go ahead and thank Carlos and Dennis and the gang over at Carlos RV for holding my hand through this process of picking tires. Believe it or not, it was harder to pick a set of tires for the back of this than it was the color of the car. So yeah, I think everything turned out good. We're going to go ahead and head up to Jack Furrier's Western Tire, pick up the other tire, mount it, and looks like we'll be rolling this weekend with a new set of drag radials on the back. So that's going to do it for this episode. Be sure to tune in next time, and who knows what kind of trouble we'll get into. Catch you later.